you know, as far as the supply goes, here locally in our community, and you know, over time that little bit, even though it's just a little bit, adds up to where you don't have, you know, the things that you need. And so, you know, just kind of look ahead and think ahead as to what's going on in the world and in your in our own country, and do a little forethought, pre-planning. You know, I know we're going into winter and you really can't grow a whole lot, but you know what you can grow inside? You can grow microgreens. You know, that microgreens are an awesome nutrients. You can make a salad out of it. You can add it to hamburgers. You can add it to tacos. You know, they come in all sorts of different varieties of different plants. Broccoli, radishes, sunflowers. Oh my gosh, whatever you can think, basically, you can get microgreens in. And they are so easy to do in your own house. Hi, Lisa here with Tabletop Farms. Just wanted to show you what we had going on today. This week has been kind of a crazy early week temperature-wise. In October, on Tuesday night, I think it was, we had gotten down into the low 20s, right at 19 degrees. And so there were some things in the gardens that just because other obligations that we had, we couldn't get into the gardens like we wanted to. And because of that freeze, we had some things that, well, we just couldn't get harvested. So I'll flip you around here and kind of show you where we're at on things at the moment. And it is really windy today. It's nice. We've got 80s coming in today. Yeah, a couple days ago we were in the 20s, right? And now we're in the 80s. That's what they say, that's what gets you sick, right? But no, I'm going to show you, I'm going to flip around here. We were hoping to get the winter squash harvested before this really cold stuff came in, and like I said, we just couldn't get to it. We did get to the radish and turnips today. You can see behind me we've got a full 2 beds that we did on radish and turnips that we were able to get harvested. And do with those is that we've taken the tops off of them, and I'm going to go back and wash them and show you kind of one of the ways how we do that. We have many different ways depending on how we're going to use them and sell them as to how we wash them. Okay, so I was going to show you guys the way that we are washing the radishes today. So previously I had told you about how depending on how we are selling them depends on how we put them together in the field, or go ahead how we harvest them in the field. So sometimes we bunch them in the field, which means we take the greens, the tops of the radishes, you know, the whole plant, and we'll bunch everything together and put a rubber band around them, and then you're done. And then when we come back in here, we'll take a hose and spray off the root end, the radish part, to clean off all the dirt and leave everything as a whole plant, and sell it that way. Today, what we have done is we had harvested the tops off while we were in the field. So whenever we came back into here, the only thing we have is the radish portion of the plant. So what we're going to do, there's a couple ways how we clean them. Depending on how many we have, and today we've got a bunch of them. So I went ahead and put our bubbler together, And this is the same bubbler that we wash our some other stuff in as well. But this is all vegetable washing. And this is our bubbler. And so I'm going to go ahead and dump the radishes in, and we'll turn it on, and you'll see how it kind of just agitates the water and floats the radishes around and cleans all that dirt off of them really quickly. So we'll go ahead and do that. Do you know what my
blue bottle is? The one that I had my body on.
Okay, so as it was all bubbling, these are not that dirty, which is absolutely wonderful. Because of how dry it is outside, there's not a whole lot that's been sticking to them. So they're actually really not all that dirty. So, you know, I just kind of check them as it was going. You could see that I was doing that, pulling out some and seeing how, if we've got all the dirt off of them, which we have. You'll also see that there's still some tops on here. So my next step is to go ahead and pull these out of here, and then we will go back through and trim them up just a little bit, because if you store these for, you know, a good amount of time, these would hold. If you put these in the refrigerator, they would hold for almost 2 months. I mean, like, even longer than that. But to be able to do that, you need to have stuff off of them so that they can't rot. And so I would go through, and we're just going to clean these up so that they look a lot prettier for anybody who purchases them, you know, a presentable product. So that is the next step, is to go ahead and pull these out and get them cleaned up. The weather, it was just too cold. The tops on them aren't pretty looking to be able to sell them in bunches. So we went ahead and harvested off the tops of them. The turnips, the milk cows love them. So we're going to take them over to the milk cows and let them have some. And then also the pigs love those turnip tops as well. Now the radish tops, nobody seems to eat them, so they'll just go to the compost. But we did have some sweet corn that we were really hoping that we would get to harvest, and they just weren't ready. And with that cold weather, they froze, and now they're not anything good. So I'll flip. So this is the corn that was just getting close to being harvested, like we might have had this week, and then we would be harvesting the cobs off of these. But you know, I guess it's okay. We're gonna go ahead and cut down the stalks and maybe harvest off the corn anyways. The pigs will love it, even though, you know, it's not the prettiest. So they'll get utilized anyways on the farm. The cobs and that, you know, there's only so much that we can feed them at once, and things can go rotten pretty quick. So there's probably a good portion of it that'll end up going to compost as well. My green beans, I was hoping to get those harvested before that hit as well. I had a lot of green beans on here that they just, well, they froze. So I don't know, we might just, of course, we'll go ahead and clean all this off at some point. Right now it's no longer a priority, but it's ground cover onto the soil. So we may just go ahead and tarp it. I'm not sure, I need to talk to Andrew about this. Tarp it and let it biodegrade over the winter and give us some more compost material down on top of it. I know we were kind of thinking about doing that with the corn as well, you know, this old patch that we had over here. This was the first batch of corn that we did a couple weeks ago that we harvested with the smut. We might just chop it and just lay it back down onto the gardens for material and whatnot. We haven't decided what we really want to do there yet. First time actually, well, I take that back. We've tried corn for 3 years, and this is the first year we actually got it to harvest because of the trash pandas always got it before us. And our plants were always small enough that we did just go ahead and chop it and leave it back into the garden for nutrients. This bed here is the one that I was picking radishes out of, and we'll go ahead and clean this up and throw that into compost. These turnip tops, we'll feed that out to the animals. I do have some cabbage that is still growing. It doesn't look the greatest, but it is growing. It needs watered like crazy. We are so dry, so dry. And then we tried getting to the winter squash too, and we were able to get some off of it. I'm gonna have to go ahead and process what we did get, and I don't know, make some squash soup, or I'm gonna have to research that and see what I can do, you know, as far as saving squash that's not just like cold storage where you can eat it again. So
hey guys, I absolutely love fall in North Missouri. We generally get all kinds of colors, but there's one thing I despise, and I don't know if it's just us or I think I've seen it before in other places, but we get, on days like today, it's been sub-zero, well, not sub-zero, sub-freezing here. Night before last it was right around 19, and today it's 70, and we just get an inundation of these. They look like ladybugs, but they're not ladybugs, and they stink. They get all over you, they bite, and then they burrow in every crevice. If you have any kind of air gap in your home, they burrow in there. We grow the Hackerai turnip, and most people that try this turnip, I'm not a turnip fan whatsoever. The customary turnip around is the purple top turnip, and they get softball size, baseball size type turnips. Your food plots for deer will generally have purple top turnips, and cover crops will have purple top turnips. These are not purple top turnips. My grandfather used to love to boil purple top turnips, and he enjoyed those, but me not so much. I don't think Lisa does either. But we have been growing Hackerai turnips. These are a salad turnip, and they are absolutely wonderful. And generally everybody that tries them, even if they don't like turnips, like this turnip. And the bonus to these are the greens are edible, so the whole plant is usable. And then we have our right there, our hemp plants. We have grown CBD hemp. Now I think this is our third year of growing CBD hemp. The first year came out really well, but we had some mold issues, so we didn't sell any. Last year, we have to get these tested. We have to buy a license from the state of Missouri to grow CBD hemp. And this is the same type of CBD that you'd buy in your stores that have the oils and all that kind of stuff. So we have to buy a license from the state. And then every year, before we can harvest the hemp, we have to send in a sample to an independent lab and get it tested for CBD and for THC. And if the THC levels, according to Missouri state, is, I believe it's 0.3. It's 0.3. If it's higher than that, it is no longer considered CBD. It is then considered marijuana. Well, last year we were at 0.5%. We had essentially a whole garden full of hemp last year. That was a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money. I won't even put a price on it, but it was a lot of money. Test came back, we had to destroy those plants. Now, how did we destroy them? Well, we didn't want to lose anything. It's good material, had a lot of nutrients. The cannabis plant is an excellent scavenger of nutrients, and it'll bring it all up to the top. It'll also clean your soil. So if you have metals and things like that, and that's something that if you do want to do something like CBD or cannabis or something like that, you really want to test your soils for those metals, because it will draw those toxins essentially up and clean your soil. But we had to destroy it. Well, how did we destroy it? Highway Patrol drug unit actually came in, 2 guys, and we composted it all. So that's part of the big compost pile we have over here, is a whole garden full of CBD hemp plants from last year. Probably the most expensive mulch or compost that I've ever seen or ever used. I'll never buy anything that's going to cost that much. But this year we got the test back on Saturday, and I'm glad we only put 1 row in. This is a new seed that we tried. It came back at 2%, almost 2%, not quite 2% THC levels. So it obviously is going to have to be destroyed. And so we put the call in for those gentlemen to come back over, and we're going to compost some more. So it's a kind of an expensive experiment that we've been doing. Some rules are changing. It's going to be taken back over. I think the state of Missouri is dissolving their hemp program, and it is being turned over to the federal hemp program. So we're not sure what that means. We're not sure if we're going to grow it again next year.
That's what we've got going on. I do have some greens that I'm going to go ahead and harvest today that's in the caterpillar tunnel. That stuff's doing really well. We'll take a walk down here, and I'll show you that. We got some plastic flapping around on it. When that 19-degree weather came in the other night, we had closed this down, at least on the north side, so that it wouldn't be such a shock for it. And it might get loud with that plastic behind me, but yeah, I went ahead and watered this for an hour just a bit ago, and it is not wet by any means, but it's nice and moist. And that lettuce is ready to be harvested, so I'm going to be harvesting it today as well. We've got a few beets in here that are probably ready to go out, and then spinach needs some cleanup so that whenever those beautiful leaves pop, we'll be able to harvest that. This here is our broccoli. It's coming along pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. We've cut a few over there. I think the deer ended up eating on those when we had the side curtains up on these. So maybe that'll detour us a little bit, but that's what I've got going on today. Do a little bit more harvesting, get some of this stuff out of the ground before we get into another crunch time like we just had and lose anything else. Everything else besides, well, everything outside is harvested, so I guess I don't have anything to complain about. Now we're just moving on to prepping for next year. So we'll catch you guys soon, and we really appreciate you guys coming along with us on this journey, letting us document it and giving you some content to maybe help you in your own home garden. We really promote you having your own garden. Even though we grow it and we love growing it, and we love feeding our community and helping out our community, we really also love educating people on how to grow their own stuff and be able to feed your own family with things that you grow, even if it's a container garden, if you have only a little 10 by 10 raised garden, you know, whatever that space looks like for you and your situation. We really would love to help you out if you have any questions. You know, obviously we grow on a little bit bigger scale, but you know, we used to live in the city and we used to grow on a very smaller scale than this. And so there's a lot of things that we've tried, and this is just where we're at in our process. So, but we really advocate for people to really start your own garden and have some type of food growing, you know, at your own location, locally at your house. Things are starting to get short. You know, we were at a meeting last night in our own community, and a fellow was talking about, he had talked with just Casey's, our local gas station here, and their pizza dough, and you know, just kind of how they were doing on the whole supply chain thing. And you know, our local Casey's is having a hard time getting flour to make pizzas. You know, whenever they put in an order for their store to get products coming in, they're only getting 83% of what they order. You know, so it is starting to degrade, you know, as far as the supply goes, here locally in our community. And you know, over time, that little bit, even though it's just a little bit, adds up to where you don't have, you know, the things that you need. And so, you know, just kind of look ahead and think ahead as to what's going on in the world and in your in our own country, and do a little forethought, pre-planning. You know, I know we're going into winter and you really can't grow a whole lot, but you know what you can grow inside? You can grow microgreens. You know, that microgreens are an awesome nutrients. You can make a salad out of it. You can add it to hamburgers. You can add it to tacos. You know, they come in all sorts of different varieties of different plants. Broccoli, radishes, sunflowers. Oh my gosh, whatever you can think, basically, you can get microgreens in. And they are so easy to do in your own house. Other things that you can do, you know, we still feel that we could probably get some radish and turnips in because they are such a quick crop. Now, if you have a garlic, you can go ahead and get garlic in, and that's something that you can be thinking about for next year's harvest. We still have to get our garlic in, so you're not behind yet. We feel we're behind. You need to get it in pretty quickly. But you know, just thinking about those things, and just having your own little food supply at your own house. You know, I know that was a total rant and totally off of what I was getting onto. Just showing you guys around what we have going on today, but obviously I needed to say it for somebody. So anyways, that's what I got for you right now. So like I said, thank you for coming along with us. We really appreciate it, and we love sharing this with you, and hope we can get together sometime and communicate and get our own community going. But until then, pull up a chair and welcome to Tabletop Farms.